This is a second part of my Road to 500 series. If you're interested, I'll leave the first part in the description. Not that it has any relevance to this, as they are not. There's not much point in it having been in chronological order, but either way. A certain ELO is 1308. And this first game is Chinese versus Delhi on French Pass. Now on French Pass, Delhi technically has the highest win rate, even at the highest ELO. Uh, this is because of their aggressive capturing of the sides. I assumed they go for H3 compound defender to be able to build walls with units, and then just keep constantly walling off over and over, making it really hard to break with a 10-minute timer. I'm playing Chinese. My plan is to go for a 3TC boom, which is my pretty much one and only build with Chinese on these shock point maps. I want to delay him as much as possible from taking the sides, so I will focus on one side of the map and try to wall it off and delay him as much as I can. For opening as Chinese, I don't believe I have the most efficient opener, but it's one I like. You start with a production structure next to deer if you have any deer nearby, and if not, the berry bush. Bring a ship over there, start collecting them, and first you build the imperial officer, and have him inspect the production structure, and then each time hits 20, return the gold back. This way you hit 200 gold when you have like close to 500 food, but you don't require to build a mining camp. You build one more worker which builds a house and goes to collecting food, and then the rest of the workers go on wood. You can start stone prematurely as well, which I believe I do as well, if you want to go for multiple TCs or walling off, like I do here as well. It's a nice Chinese build, or it's not the best for if you want to have the fastest fiddle, but it gets you a lot of resources, and you can skip the gold completely. But yeah, not much happening so far. There's some good relics for me to grab, but I probably won't focus up too much on that. I have nothing next on my TC to be able to kill the scout. It's luckily you took so many tower shots you couldn't really bully more workers with some animation cancelling. And this final trip I should be able to get to 400. I mean 200 gold. So as you can see, it is a bit delayed in terms of how much food I had. I got 400 food way earlier, but I did get to skip the gold mine camp. Yeah, I usually pull workers from my food to build the sunmark, since I have enough workers already there, and already have more over food from not getting enough gold early on. You only need 5 to 6 workers to sustain your food income consistently. 5 if they're working right under the TC or collection structure, 6 if they're a bit further away. So see, he's already moving out workers to build premature wall-offs, because anybody who picks Delhi on this map is gonna go for the sacred sites and try to get one of the fastest holy victories. Luckily it also aggroes the wolf, which will make that worker be sent back very shortly. I should have already been sending out workers, I think. My timing is a bit delayed on that. He actually has a pretty good animation cancelling micro, and it totally forced my scout back. I already should have had my workers out to start walling off his side of the map. So these are a bit delayed, which could have made a lot simpler of an experience for me if I didn't delay them. He's well enough me on this side, but honestly I don't care too much. Here he goes for a wall off, but it's a bit glitched since the side's not walled off. And yeah, so if I send them out earlier, he might not even spotted them, and it would have been a better for me. So here another scout would go for me, so I try to mic around him. I know he has good animation cancelling, so I pull one of them back so that he can't animation cancel as effectively. And I have sent my scout to come up here. I'm pretty sure a scout wins against two workers, but if you just if they're distracted and you make the workers run around them, it can be alright. Which was I was counting on. I probably have too many villagers on stone at this point, as I was micro and not paid attention to it. Could have probably sent a few more to wood so that I would be able to get my TCs up in a more in a better, faster amount of time. But now I have enough to drop down TC at home. I built an archer range just in case for safety purposes. I like to build my additional TCs next to originated food sources so that it reduces the amount of time traveled. He's gonna be able to cut off this worker. So I'm gonna send forward a few more workers since I already have so much stone. And it's unfortunate that I didn't start the top part of this wall, because if I did I would have denied any of the additional troops getting in, but it wasn't fully walled off, so they just walked past. I do get the rest of the wall off, so at this point it's not the full wall still, but eventually I'll get the full wall off, and at that point no more units will be able to get in. At this point I could have started to pull off of gold, as not gold, I apologize, stone, as I no longer need it. Yep. You should make a gold mining camp so I can go up to 2nd dynasty and benefit from my free TCs. So we both messed up a bit. My worker up top should have been finishing up these walls already for a long time, but they weren't doing anything. My work at the bottom could have initially already walled off the bottom side fully so that no archers could have came in. The wall is fully walled off, so I don't need to finish it right now, as it's already has no gap in it, at least at the top, and the bottom one is as well now finished. And I'm just now getting enough wood to go for 30C, hoping that this would delay him enough for me to not have as much of a time pressure. Yeah, now I wanna go for 400 food, 200 gold to get to my 2nd dynasty. It speeds up the worker production by 35%, which is quite beneficial when you have free TCs. I'm a bit slower on everything. Usually you have your 2nd TC and second dynasty already at this point. Not having it at 9 minutes is very late, but yeah, I was a bit distracted, to say the least. I'm just checking about how full the wall-offs are and keeping my workers there. It's nice to have a work on the map that the opponent isn't aware of. I have now a bit too much food, to be fair. Usually again you would have free TCs and you need pretty much every single villager you can on gold or on food to be able to keep up with the production. But now that I do not have a the 2nd dynasty, which makes it that you need even more food since your workers are produced faster, and since I don't have the 30C. It also requires food production workers. I'm a bit too over in my food production. And now I'm gonna go up to second dynasty and get my 30C, so I'm catching up a bit. I think my opponent has also been delayed with his stuff due to rushing out units a bit and walling off. Just in case, I'm gonna wall myself off, in case he wants to push the right side. I doubt he's going to push me, because his only plan is to just grab the sides and nothing else. So he's probably not thinking about being aggressive and just hoping that I'm not aggressive towards him, which is potentially one of the weaknesses of this of people that play it, at least. As your opponent, if you're gonna go for sacred sites, your opponent best bet to win is to just get better equals than you, and then be able to overwhelm you with huge number of units. And you, as the defender of the sacred sites, you probably won't be able to get good scouting in. Therefore, you just have to build units no matter what. And if you're building units no matter what, you might as well see if you can go for a push, do some damage. If you're not being pushed yourself already, you might as well try to see if you can be on the aggressive end. So now I will myself off on the right side and misrally my TCs. But yeah, my only goal here is just to get up to 120 workers and get a very stable economy going. Eventually I will realize that my TCs are misrallied. I'll fix that. There's not much to do really for now. I probably should drop down a few more production structures, which I'm going to be doing right now, as in case he does decide to push me. Now the placement of my production structure is actually quite poor. I should have them further back, so that it's not the first thing he encounters if he decides to push me. As well, the whole point of production structures is to produce units, and if he pushes me and instantly kills them, then I lose my production buildings. It's not going to be the best for me. Now he's clearly also quite delayed by himself due to not having HRE at 12 or almost 13 minutes. I'm quite surprised that he's able to get a priest over to the sacred site, as it's totally walled off. My original thought was that he made since he has some units on one side and he could have had units on our side as well, that he has made two tower siege units, one on each side, and then moved them over like that. That was my initial thought, but that's not what actually happened. That one of his workers survived at 1 HP, in fact, and built a monastery there to make another priest. Well, not a monastery, but a mosque. So since I have this worker here, I decided to maybe go for a little bit of harass with some units on his side of the map. I'm gonna be taking up to H3 myself after him, to not make this look too suspicious. So if I take longer to take up, he might decide to push me. Even though most likely he'll just be scared because I clearly am just building up units in that case. So yeah, now he hits H3 and I hit it just a bit after him, which is very nice, given that he is, well, my assumption is that he is on 1 TC and I'm on 3 TC, and we hit our age up at similar timings. I have a really good food income, so I'll be able to go for third dynasty shortly if I want to. I have one work on stone, so I'm able to have the gate to build an opening in my wall. I have more workers on food now because I'm going to be running out of food sources, and I will need to make farms as well as probably more production structures. And I'm gonna take up to the third dynasty. Closing in on the amount of workers I plan to have at the end of this. So yeah, I'm already at 100 out of 120, and I still have 7 minutes before I lose the game. So the main problem people have when they have something like this pulled against them is that they're panicking a bit too much and rush in prematurely before they have to, and lose the fight, and then not able to muster another army to fight. So the only important thing to do here is to not panic and go up to a good eco and produce a large army before you run out of time, but you have plenty of time to go to contest this. 10 minutes is a long time, and as soon as you step on the site, it delays the victory. So even if there's 1 second remaining, but you have a unit on the site, that's still a bit dangerous, obviously. But if you, in that case, you still have, you can still win as long as you're overwhelmingly winning. Now I'm severely lacking food, given that all of my food production is slowly disappearing, as all of the deer and berry bushes have been almost used up. And here's where the massive wood switch comes in, so I can make a bunch of farms and some granaries, support set farms. Now I'm basically maxed on the amount of workers I want to have. I have my trebuchets out to start destroying structures. It's also good to, fake the aggression in a way. Like here, if he pushes me again, I'm gonna be quite screwed. But since I'm attempting to push him, it gives the illusion that I want to attack him, and should scare him to not want to push me either. Now 4 horsemen aren't gonna do much, but if I made some fire lancers instead, would have probably been better. But at the time I did not have fire lancers, so probably waiting a bit more and making fire lancers and going to his base would have been a bit more beneficial than this. I see that he's making man-at-arms, so I'm just going to produce more crossbowmen. So my current strategy is to have probably a little bit of actual siege, and not just trebuchets, and then crossbowmen and knights to defend them. Knights are not there to really counter anything, they're just there to serve as a bulk for my crossbowmen, which should be countering his man-at-arms since he seems to be massing that. Now I'm getting a bit low on time, and I think that, I should have been a bit more aggressive in terms of my army, since at this point he could have been making a lot more walls. So adding a few, maybe some rams instead of trebuchets as well would have been helpful. Having nest of bees out already would have been helpful, because if he sets units to repair or make new walls, nest of bees can deny that. So now currently, since I'm so low on gold, I'm just making crossbowmen because they're very gold efficient. They are very food intensive, but cost very little gold. Should probably remove my economy a bit to have more gold production, since my food production is totally fine. And I do just that. He has obviously found my production structure on his side of the map after my horsemen and fire lancers went in. They didn't really do much, but even if they just disturbed him and made it a bit harder for him to focus on what he's doing, it's good enough already. It didn't really cost me that much in the end, and it distracted him at least a bit. Probably could have done more with them, but it's not that big of a loss. I'm just gonna keep making more production structures. I should have had more, at least some blacksmiths out to have some better upgrades as well. But now at this point there's 3 minutes left, so I really need to focus on my army. So yeah, now currently his units moving in again to... I should have had like an SFBs, a few preferably, to prevent them. One will pop now, but I think we'll get a layer of walls off before it does anything. And they do indeed. At least an SFBs could have prevented that a bit better than I have had. Now I need a bit more horsemen now, or knights, excuse me, or lancers in this case, since I need some protection for my crossbowmen, and he still has a large mass of man-at-arms, so that was definitely the right decision to go for crossbowmen. I'm close to being maxed, and I doubt he has similar number of workers. His only similarity is potentially army. Now I'm a bit, while I did say supporters do not panic, I am a bit panicked now and went for siege weapons a bit late at this point, but you know, to produce some rams to be able to fight against him. I have too much wood. I should have distributed some of wood on my gold and food, but I don't have too much time to focus on that. He could have made a better layers of walls behind this, but luckily for me there was a golden away, so he has made a very poor walls of layers that are not even walls fully. He has no siege, he only has one elephant, and he mainly has, I think, still H2 archers and man-at-arms. So even though my man-at-arms went straight from my crossbowmen, they are crossbowmen and they outmatch them by a large amount. So I'm able to go through this army. I sent one unit on the side to stop the timer, but it does die. So I'm gonna shortly send some more units on. He has a larger number of units, but all of his units besides the elephants are quite low tier, so it doesn't really change anything. So I'm just rallying units in. And at this point, as long as I'm able to get on the side, for some reason timer wasn't stopping. I guess if his units are on the side, they're okay. Yeah, you need to be the side needs to be not at full capture rate for it to be stopped. I see. I did not actually know that mechanic. But yeah, now that it's not at full anymore and it's going down, it's a bit of a close call at 33 seconds. But it was good enough. He could have been a lot more dangerous if he built more walls and was better about building walls. And you know, the position of the gold really did help. Now he has some units with rallied. He's gonna building up castle there, which is useless by multiple reasons. First of all, I already have a large number of trebuchets, but even if I didn't, there's no reason for me to push his other sacred site. It doesn't gain me anything besides stopping just a small smidge of gold income, while pushing his base wins me the game instead. So I think that's quite a bit of a mistake for my opponent to waste his castle up there when he could have built it in his base instead. There's no real reason to destroy this mosque, but since my trebuchets aren't here, I cannot keep pushing him just yet, so I need to wait for them to move up in the first place anyways. So yeah, now at this point he really should have just left the game. Like, this is pretty over. Obviously he doesn't know exactly what my eco is like comparatively to his, but the game is pretty over at this point. So I'm gonna age up to tier 4, just to get better upgrades at this point, and try to break into his base with my trebuchets. This wall is a bit bugged, as I'm not allowed to delete it apparently, as when I delete my entire wall, that wall still sticks around, so that's always nice. He also, I didn't realize that, but he also failed to destroy my proxy stable, which is nice, I guess. Also, I should research the Knights Lancers upgrade, not the Fire Lancers upgrade for H4 veterancy, which is a bit of a mistake, I guess. I'm not sure why I did that, but I have a pretty high gold income, so I can just take them both at this point, I guess. I don't know, I'm not sure if I do that or not. Yeah, now I just want to use my Master Beast to prevent him from building up or repairing his walls as I push with my trebuchets. They have trebuchets are very clunky unit. They have way too long of time to fire, and they don't do enough damage in my opinion. I think walls are way too strong in this game comparatively to previous games, and there's just no need for them to be this strong. It's fine for the walls to not be attacked without siege, but like a single trebuchet should be able to handle a wall. I don't see why you need to require these 3 trebuchets to go through a wall in still somewhat of a slow pace. But that's just my opinion. So I killed one of my workers, so I'm able to produce a priest to capture the holy site for some extra gold income. I see that he has a mangonel, so I'm gonna try to snipe that. I have a few fire lancers. I did one damage with it. I tried to spread my units against his shot. He only has horsemen, so that tells me he's pretty weak. He does a desperate attempt to get some wall of law going, but yeah, I guess if I wasn't paying attention, it could have been dangerous, but I was, and that's the game over.
Parat, Kerte! Parat, si! Escolto! Vado! Ensala! Bene! Mandes, si! Escolto! Exploro, Mandes, vado! Parat, cavallo! Bene! Ensala, si! Exploro, Kerte! Ensala! Parat, escolto! Vado!
Che? Bene. Lavoro.
Exploro? Mandes, si! Mandes, si!
Ascolto.
Parat! Escolto! Exploro, vado! Ensala!
Sì, ho chiesto. Ma sono.
Parat! Cavallo! Mandes, Kerte! Ensala! Vado!
Me? Sì, vado!
Exploro? Si! Va, si! Mandes, vado!
Ubi vado?
Parat! Ensala! Cavallo! Escolto! Ensala! Escolto! Si! Exploro? Bene! Vado! Parat! Si! Mandes? Bene! Che? Ensala! Kerte! Parat! Si! Escolto! Mandes? Cavallo! Escolto! Exploro? Escolto!
Ascolto.
Ensala! Exploro? Vado! Kerte! Mandes? Escolto!
Escolté.
Spero.
Exploro. Cavallo. Parat. Vado.
Mandemans. Sì. Edifico. Quod. Ambulo.
Ascolto. Massone.
Exploro. Parat. Si. Mandes. Si. Ensala. Cavallo. Parat. Escolto. Exploro. Escolto. Mandes. Vado. Ensala. Vado. Ensala. Chierte.
Me
Spero.
ambulo. Laburo.
Mandes. Escolto. Exploro. Si.
Ubi vado. Ubi vado. Ah.
Parat. Cavallo. Mandes. Vado. Parat. Si. Exploro. Bene. Escolto. Vado. Ensala. Si. Exploro. Vado.
Escolté. Sì. Cavo. Parat porvenir.
Parat perfect. Io massone.
Si somes. Quito.
Quel laburo.
Mandes. Sí. Cavallo ici.
Qued me? Cos'è sarà massonata? Paratus et promptus. Qued labor? Parats pour labourar. Me plecte. Labour Spérance.
Kedman cum grande course. Sí, si volez.
Esperot secund mandement. Cavalamus equites. Secund mandement.
Colonel, in avant, colonel.
Ci sono.
Equites. Come mandes. Equites quite. Comprendo.
Colonel sunt ici. En desqued.
Oye, oye.
Et ove equites.
Coursant au ambulo. Caval. Oye, oye.
Equites orchest. Perfecte. Vassals in avant. Parat equites quite. Optime.
Tuts audit.
Equites ove equites. Vassal.
Mandes. Coursant cum grande course.
Parat porvenir. Ici vatost. Parat Spérance. Vado labourar.
Obey. Si comprendo. Come mandes.
Ilérance.
Non geste de trace.
Aide de retournard.
Parate, spero tu mande cavallo! En le camp!
Quel me. Et je li mandement.
En linea equite.
Sí, es fait. Caval comprendo.
Quid orden?
Mandes colonne.
Et chez si. Ben
Colonel Spaghetti.
C'est l'ennemi!
Renes, requiem, mandement. Ascolte bene. Movenskito.
Colonne, si, bene. Labour, speranza.
Quid labour. Sis.
Tuts audit.
Sito. Porco ligarfrux. Espe cavallo.
Et queste di l'inimi!
Parat porve.
Cursor obéissance. Caval parat.
Sagita inarco.
Si. Catmandel, effet.
Parade pour venir.
Equites Chevalier! Cavalamus, inimi Efraïen! Speranz Gloria!
Parade pour la bourre.
Etchel.
Catmandel. Cavallo ici. Si volez.
Auditem, equites attendent ici. Paratus et promptus.
Escolte bene.
Parate così, comprendo.
Tutto d'orden.
Quella bubido aussi. Seco materia.
Si, comprendo. Catmandel. Ambulo.
Quemande.
Escolte, movamos, vale tuts.
Etcheli mandement.
Caval parat. Comprendo! Commandez. Perfecté.
Paratus Vadakitos. Trex de l'inimi!
Parats pour la bourra. Qued me? Come sono la cose? Sagita inarco.
Obéis. Et les comptes.
Mande squad.
Cursor para à grande course. Ferries la spédé.
B. Qued la bobido, si.
Mandement.
Odi, in avant. Squad. Movamos, vale tous. Parat, tout sono avanti.
Cursor.
Si sono. Ascolte bene.
Tuts
Etcheli mandement. Tutto di te. Comme me.
En line orchest.
Parat, ambula.
Sisomes.
Quemandes. Buen labour. Si somes.
Labour, speranza.
Reparati. Obedio. Bene, bene.
Cursor est indicateur.
Equites, quitte. Cavalamus, equites. Cavalamus, equites. Obéio. Orchestre.
Momente arquière. In avant.
Escolte
Allez,
bene.
Soprador. Audience.
Laisse-moi sur ici.
Obéis, Speron.
Ecce mandement.
Parade, in avant, d'arquière.
Parate, equites. Si, comprendo. Move, equites.
Tuts comme me. Tuts audite. Sisomes.
Arquière, parade. Parate, arquière, audience. Bene, bene.
Escolte, si, comprendo. Si.
Audité.
Parate, serviette. Vade, arquière. Parate, obedio.
Parate. Assage. In avant.
Sagita inarco. Parate, porvenir.
Mande squad.
Trex de l'inimi. Vadokitos.
Escolte, Ems de retourneur. Préparate, ambulance.
Quid labour.
Momentina.
Ecce de retour.
Promesse. Preparate. Bene, bene. Si, comprendo. Colonnes paraiti. Movo. Io ma sono la cose. Intendo.
Parade pour la bourra.
Sagita inarco. Venies, servientes. La...
Sito.
En linea, equites.
Tuts audite. Cose sur Amazona. Parade pour la bourra.
Ecce mandement.
Mande squad. Vado la bourra.
Mandement. Comme momente si, arquière. En boule.
Colonne, vamos. Vale tuts.
Colonne.
Colonne, si, comprendo. Vado la bourra. Comprendo. Mandement. Colonne. Escolte bene. Si, bene!
Colonnes, requiem mandement! Si semaines! Commandes!
Labour
Ire
Speranza.
faccio!
Wait,
Commandes!
Dams de retournard.
Arquer, ambulance! Espero que prepara toutes audités! Si, comprendo. Vado laborar. Sagittaina. Preparate, arquer, sie. Arquer, in avant. Labour Spérance. Commandes!
Si sommes. Retournons comme matériel.
Arquer parade.
Toutes audités. Et je l'y comme me.
Colonnes, sont ici! Arquer parade.
Equite secund mandement. Come Mondes.
Parate, arquer, in avant, arquer.
Parade pour venir. Toutes wait, mais inhérence. Causez sur Amazona.
Mondes.
Escolte bene.
Sagittaina. Sagittaina, co.
Et je l'y demande.
Equit passals in avant. Si, comprendo. Sivaliers. Equit Sivaliers. Ok. Secund mandement. Comme equites quitte. Sivaliers. Move equites. Move equites.
Parade, parade, arquer. Parate, arquer. Oh, medio. Oye. Oye. Ambula. Oh, medio. Arquer. In avant, arquer. Ambula.
Toutes audités. Escolte.
Et chez les mandements.
Bon, vamos, valez tous.
La bourse Spérance. Sagit.
Enli secund mandement. Comme Mondes.
Parade pour venir. On a cial pour la bataille.
Arquer, parade. Commandes. Près de la bourre.
Et je l'y demande. Toutes aux dames de retournard. Mandesqued, va.
Parade, pour merci, boys. Arquer, parade. Parade, pour la
Ec parate orchest. Cavalarius equites. Secund mandement. Assault equites. Assault in avant. Troquinets comme horses. À la touche equites.
Mentesi, intendo. Parate, intendo. Parate, arquer, allez, arquer. Bene, bene.
Si sommes.
Equit Sivaliers.
Parade.
Instrument parade.
Est fini. Preparate, arquer, in avant, arquer. En desqued. Preparate, arquer. Arquer, in avant. Oye. Arco, parade.
Escolte bene. Comme me. Et je l'y demande.
Parade, intendo.
Parade pour la loi.
Intendo.
Enline comme Mondes. Si, comprendo. Action de l'ennemi! Commandes!
Parate, ambula.
Buon lavoro.
Equites quitte. Parade orchest. Sommes bacenos mondies!
Et je l'y demande. On vamos, valez tout. Et d'abord, si, bene.
Sagittaina. Momentesi. Arquer.
Equit. Ove equites.
Labour Spérance. Ici va toast. C'est comme à... Buon lavoro.
Allez, scavo.
Mais...
Momentesi. Obedio. Parate, arquer.
Enline passals.
Arquer. In avant. Vade, arquère. Vade, arquère. In aiuto. Arquère. In avant, arquère. Vade, arquère.
Si comprende! Si
Arquère. In avant. Arquère. Vade, arquère. Momente si, arquère. Parate, vade, arquère. Parate. In avant, arquère. Deuse. Bene, bene. Arquère. Parate. Ambula. Momente si. Vade, arquère. Parate, arquère.
Now the third and last game is on an open map again, this time Lipany instead of Dry Arabia. My plan is going to be very similar to my last game, and so is my build order. I start with a scout and plan to go into a double stable harass.
Si. Barat. Escolto.
And also for the same reasons the last game, but it's scout opener. Said that probably not the build to use in French versus English, but French versus HRE, this build should work a lot better. I found where his scout is, so I'm gonna section off the map in half and try to get all of the sheep on the left-ish side of the map.
Escolto. Masono.
Found his TC as well. Everything looking standard for now, not that there's much deviation you can have this early on on this map. Now I have some food again, so I'm gonna go for gold, just in the exact same way I did in the previous game.
Escolto.
Explorons.
It's good to scout around your opponent's base as well, to let you know what resources they have access to and what resources they're likely to go for in the future. For example, this Dia camp will, unless he also goes for professional scouts himself, that Dia camp could be quite an exposed location to harass him from.
Ubivado.
Ensala.
So yeah, same as before. I'm gonna, after going up to 4 on gold, I'm gonna put everything on food.
Si.
Exploro. Cavallo.
Should be aging up between 50 to 3.
Mandes. Escolto.
Si.
Quete.
Haven't found any of the Dia around my map yet, and that's the method I was also talking about earlier, about the only other way to get your sheep that close to a TC is having your scout run by and just right click them on TC when they're in aligned alongside it.
Barat.
I've got a decent amount of sheep from this, so I can, which is always good, so you can focus on other things while your eco isn't being deterred.
Si.
Mandes.
Wood.
But yeah, like always, there's not much to say during early game.
Escolte. Barat.
Probably could send one of my scouts shortly to scout where he puts his landmark, and that he does do that. It's not a big deal, but might as well check.
Gitamus.
Since I'm not lacking any
Ubivado.
food currently, or any sheep.
Barat. Ben.
Parat. Cavallo.
Ensala.
Yeah, again 4 on the age up, and then everything else on wood now. So I will have enough to build a mill and then research professional scouts out of it.
Vado. Escolto.
This overall is a very good build. I stole it from a pro player that I've been scrimming against. It allows you for constant night production while still going up with professional scouts. You don't lose much with, that's the incredible part about it. You don't lose much while going for professional scouts. You will have no less nights than your opponent. At the very least, if they're fighting on your side of the map, you will be able to keep up your night production to them. If you fight on their side of the map, they might have 1 or 2 knights above you, but if you fight on your side of the map, if they're pushing you, you will not be down on knights. So specifically for French versus French, or if the opponent decides to go knights, it's pretty pretty good in that regard.
Mendes?
It allows you to get a high number of knights while being able to go for professional scouts. So yeah, I would recommend it in versus HRE or French or anything that isn't basically going to plan to push and kill you on open maps. So yeah, basically everything besides English more or less. Now I have my scout set up to see if I can find out anything about his build order, what he's planning to do next. He has pretty good spawn. It's going to be somewhat difficult to harass him properly, at least for now. His gold is behind his base, which is, and to get to it you have to go all the way around or get spotted by his TC. He's building a barracks. I presume that will be his first production structure at this point, while I'm already producing knights out of my second age landmark. I'm gonna send back my scouts so I can collect some gear once my professional scouts finishes. I'm gonna wait to get 2 knights before going in to try and harass. Another nice part about harassing your opponent is that if you can harass your opponent, you probably will also get to scout a bit to see what your opponent is up to. So being aggressive gives you scouting, which is always nice. And you get professional scouts. Mine is a bit late, to be fair. I think I'll get this a bit faster, but the 6-minute mark is quite a respectable time to get the professional scouts up. I'm gonna go all the way around to harass his gold, which is the bit of the annoying part about his base layout. I don't know why I'm not sending my second knight up there. Maybe I'm planning to just not bother going all the way around with my second knight because it's just too much effort. Yeah, at this point I can be adding my second stable as well, because that's in build order. You wanna add the second stable at around 7 minutes, and then you can add a blacksmith at around 8. You can add the second stable a bit earlier though. Alright, so I'm gonna try to multi-prong harass him. His reaction wasn't great. I was able to get one of them. Hopefully any of the units he made now is gonna pop up, so maybe my knight can do something here, but yeah, woodline is incredibly safe and he has nothing way too far out. So I actually add a blacksmith before second stable, which I think is a bit of a mistake. I don't know why I went for a blacksmith before second stable, but well, that's what I did. Because now I'm stocking up on resources which could have been used to get more units out, which, you know, could have been saved in case he was going for push, which doesn't look like he is, and also could have been just been more useful in harassing him. I'm still denying him gold fully with that knight, which is nice. That's a lot of units I see on the minimap, which I don't see. He went out for up forward to get that. I lose my 2 knights at the bottom, which I really shouldn't do. His prelate is very exposed. Getting this is very nice. That will, if he wants to rebuild that prelate. Yeah, I do lose a knight, unfortunate. But if he wants to rebuild that prelate, that will delay his work by 1 and also cost him 100 gold, which will delay his age up. So if that is what he's planning to go for. So that was very nice to get the prelate. Now unfortunately I did lose 3 knights, 2 on one side and 1 to kill the prelate. Realistically I could have still killed the prelate, losing 0 knights, and not lost the 2 knights on the left side either. It's somewhat of a problem I have. I'm not sending my knights further out, so that any units that are chasing them I do just catch up and kill them, which is not great, obviously. I have my chivalry come through now, so I can be a bit more aggressive with my harass. He does not have his units in position, so I'm able to pick up a few workers. Could have gotten another one, but missed microed. And now I'm close to an age up, So I'm gonna do that as soon as I, well, have enough. I've been doing a decent job of bringing in carcasses every now and then. Yeah, this build, while being very good, is very intensive in terms of a lot of things. You need to keep, since you don't have a large number of scouts, you need to constantly bring in more and more deer carcasses, and while keeping up your harass, you also don't want to lose units, and you want to keep up your structure production at home where necessary. So it is quite an intensive build order, but if done right, it is a very strong build order. So now I see that he has a scout here, so I'm gonna try to at least scare him off shortly, because I don't want him to know what I'm doing. I'm gonna start producing archers, which are gonna become crossbowmen after I age up. We already claim to be getting a +1 to ranged attack damage. Now I'm up to H3, gonna put all of these workers back on food. And should have pretty good, should be pretty decently ahead of him. I hit H3 while he's probably not gonna hit H3 for a few more minutes. I think did a decent job harassing him. I kind of forgot to go and switch my guild hall to gold. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, never mind. Unless I did it right there very fast, but it looks like I didn't forget it. I'm actually gonna keep up my archer production for a bit. I presume that I do that just to do a bit better against his spearmen, as archers are better against spearmen than crossbowmen, since crossbowmen have a slower fire rate, so they have a slower damage output against non-armored targets compared to archers, while obviously crossbowmen do way better against higher armored targets. I'm gonna try to go for another run by. See, he's moving out his spearmen. I'm gonna try to send them back. See that his prelate is a bit behind, so maybe I can get a snipe on him, but my opponent is paying attention, so that isn't happening. So now, just like last game, I want to force him back by harassing him. I should be able to hold this if he pushes me, as it's mostly spearmen, and I have archers on the way. For some reason he moved back a little bit over nothing, and then just stays in the middle of the map, which I feel like this opponent might have been a bit worse compared to my last opponent. I'm able to force him off his gold. Don't believe he lost a worker to that, but denying him gold production is no bad. Now, and the same goes for wood. He's probably going for the deer, so I'm gonna move towards the deer camp now that I've spotted out earlier. I'm gonna keep up my archer / crossbowman production, since now he is HP, and I did see a mana times in the mix. He is indeed also going for the deer camp, which I'm not paying too much attention as I'm trying to macro in my base. I'm not gonna lose any knights to this. In fact, I even was able to pick off a spearman, which the knights still are, I feel like, just a tad bit broken, but hey ho. I'm going up with the siege engine behind this, so probably should have a bit more workers on gold, which I rallied to. I'm a bit more laxed with my carcasses carrying from professional scouts. They're standing quite AFK there for quite a while. Could probably relax a bit of my gold mining. He is not in position to deny me from harassing him here, and he's not paying attention, which allows me to kill a lot of workers. So like close to 10 workers. Unfortunately, I do lose a knight, but this time the trade is worth it. I'm gonna try to snipe a few more workers in the meantime. He only has 2 spears here. Trying to not lose any more knights in the process. He still has a scout way too close up, as the scout has way bigger range. There's no reason for his scout to be this close for me to spot him, so I'm just gonna snipe that down. Yeah, the reason I could have relaxed my gold mining a bit due to the guild hall. Um, I can just take some of it there. It is good to save up on your guild hall, obviously, as the more money. Oh, well, usually you'll have money in your guild hall. As the more money is in the guild hall, the more you'll get. But if I'm going for more harass and push, it's just free gold just sitting there, which allows me to make more units and be already furthermore ahead. So it's not particularly bad to take money out, even if you don't have a lot saved up if you need it. Yes, which allows me to get a mangonel going. As you can see, I have a bit too much gold, I guess. I guess I could have had a few more workers on wood, so I could have had bigger archer production, maybe with a third archery range. Well, I guess crossbow production was an archer production. As I am floating a bit of food. Yeah. There's no reason not to deny him free gold from that. I should have also probably been paying more attention to the relics and their spawn, so I could have sniped his prelates going to pick up the relics, which I didn't, given that he has 3 relics already in his cathedral, which is a big deal. If he's able to stabilize now, like if he doesn't die in the next few minutes, those 3 relics will allow him to get back into the game. The amount of gold that the Holy Roman Empire generates for relics is actually absurd. They have a really good gold generation. So he already has a mangonel out, so it would be nice to snipe that. I think a mangonel isn't that dangerous as long as you split your units. He didn't even target my archers, and it does break. I lose a few knights to it, but I also pick up a large number of his units to it. I even decide to stay and fight, which I'm not sure if it's the right decision. He is losing a lot of units. I'm trying to micro my crossbowman back, as there's the main damage dealers, I feel. I don't want to lose those as they're more expensive. I keep my production up, keep my units coming in. I have 2 mangonels out here. I'm not sure if it was the best idea to fight him, but it wasn't too bad. And now I'm adding in more production structures, as I'm really lacking production structures at the moment, since I'm going for a final push sort of esque scenario. Again, I take out from my guild hall, which is totally fine to do if your plan is to do what I'm doing here. Now that might be a bit too many production structures, but it's not a big problem. I can start making rams to break down structures. I ran out of food, but I did carry I've carried all of the deer carcasses on my side of the map, so it's not for the lack of trying. Yeah, probably have too many production structures, as I'm not going to be able to support this now that I'm out of carcasses. The crossbowmen are still quite light on gold, so I can able to keep the production up just for a little bit. Could make another ram now, which I will do. Have my mangonel's position to attack him if he tries to snipe my ram. He's not splitting his units, so those mangonels do a lot of damage. Mangonels and no lumbers are really not that scary. Really, all you need to do is just press C for your formation, and then they're not going to do that much damage. You can also manually micro your units out of the mangonel shots and spread them out of where your opponents are going to be targeting them. He's also not targeting down his mangonels. My units are somewhat spread out. Right now he targets them, and again, they don't do any damage because my units are spread out, so here I manually spread them out so they can come up to fire at the target. As long as you do that, the mangonels are not a really much of a threat for you. It will only take like a really huge number of mangonels to do a lot of damage. Since I have so much press, I'm just moving along the map collecting more berry bushes, since I don't have to worry about him trying to harass me or push me in any way. I'm gonna move up my mangonels, snipe his workers repairing it. It's very important to have mangonels when you attack as well, because that will deny your opponent ability to repair stuff. Or build walls or anything like that. He has another mangonel out. This one's gonna do quite a lot of damage as it's been split in time. Now I split my units up a bit and it doesn't do anything again. I have 2 springles, so I know mangonels should do much against me in the future. And yeah, this game is pretty much over. We dropped down the market because I'm floating a bit too much wood and gold, and I want some more food. Since there are some mangonels, we're gonna keep them coming for a bit. And this game is pretty much over. And he keeps making mana towers, which isn't the right call, as pretty much my entire army counters mana towers. The best thing for him to make is, I guess, spearmen and archers at this point. I'm not actually sure. He needs AOE, I guess, so mangonels is a good call, but he cannot protect his mangonels as he has no beefy units in front of it. So I guess knights would be probably the best thing he could do. But yeah, it was too far behind, and that's the end. So that's it for this episode. Our final MMR is 1342, when our start number was 1308. I didn't include a few games. One was dragged out for too long, another one was on Warring Islands, which also went for 15 minutes, so I didn't include those games. But yeah, pretty much the more important ones, more interesting ones I did include. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.